Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we'll make a custom stainless steel stencil. So what you see here is stainless steel 2B. Now the difference between 2B number 4 finish, which I've done a lot of videos of on the website on CNCKing.com, is that 2B is just like a dull gray finish, while number 4 finish is a brush finish. Now when we're doing these stencils, it doesn't really matter what we use because these are going to be covered with spray paint and abused and so forth. In this case here, the customer is going to be using propane, so you end up with all that carbonization over it. So the finish doesn't really matter, is what I'm saying. But the process does. And the process for making this, in this case here, we use the laser. And the reason we use the laser over the other possibilities is basically speed and absolute clarity. So when you have very, very small details, so the support material here, it's pretty hard to see, but right there it's incredibly small. And because of that, you're sort of limited to your equipment. Plasma cutting could have cut this at the same speed as the laser. There's no issue there. And actually the plasma is faster than laser, the thicker the material is, kilowatt to, energy wise. Now when it comes to water jet, which would have been a really good possibility for this as well, we just can't get the very, very tight kerf that we needed for this specific project. So again, laser won out in that case. Water jet is also slower and it's a dirtier process. But again, when we're making stainless steel stencils, that doesn't really matter. It's cleaned up anyways. So either way, if it starts off wet and we clean it up, or it starts off with dross, we clean it up, it doesn't really matter. I often get asked by customers, what are the advantage and disadvantage of different ways of making these stencils machine-wise? And there's a few options. The first one is water jet. And for something like this here, it's more efficient to use the fiber because we don't have heat affected zones. The water jet really, really excels when you have heat affecting zones, meaning areas with too much heat being built up, therefore the metal can start to warp, you start having issues with that. The other possibility is plasma, but again, plasma, you have the heat affected zones more so than fiber. But the nice thing about fiber lasers is that you have very, very fine details that you can't achieve with either of the other machines. So again, each machine has a plus and a minus, and there's a whole bunch of other ones, but so there's no perfect machine. It's just the best machine for the job at hand using the design provided by the customer. So when it comes to your design possibilities, when it comes to your own stainless steel stencil, they're totally endless. So if you want a very highly detailed images on there, not a problem, just throws pretty much any text, any graphic. The one thing you gotta always keep in mind is that it's a stencil. And because of that, you notice that, for instance, this line here was cut in half to be supported. You have little supports here and there, so it'll be easier to see on the larger letters. So because of this requirement for the supports, it does somewhat limit you in certain ways, but we've rarely had to contend with it. Now the nice thing about our process is we're agnostic regarding machinery, material, and so forth. So if you wanted this thing here, for instance, cut out of 1/4 inch stainless steel, not a problem. We can do that just as well as 16 gauge, which is what this is here. So looking for a custom stencil, contact me at CNCKing.com. We cut it any size, any shape, any material to your spec and ship it right to your door.